Okay, question on the right side.
Hey, Coach, how has Trent Richardson lived up to the expectations you had of him as a true freshman?
Well, you obviously don't cover us much, but I didn't have any expectations for him. He's done a great job for us, and he's worked hard, and we feel like he's contributed to our team, extremely well for a freshman. I guess an explanation is in order. You all create the expectations for the players. We don't. So we don't live in that world. We just take the player where he is and try to make him as good as he can be. That's what we do as teachers and coaches, as a person, as a student, and as a player. We don't create expectations for players. That's what you do. And then we spend our time trying to get them not to live up to the expectations that you've created for them and focus on what they need to do to be the best player they can be. That's what we do. So.
Okay, we've got several questions over here. Start. Go ahead on the aisle.
There's so much attention on the two great defenses going into this game. The numbers back it up. It seems like everybody's expecting such a low-scoring game. But very often games like that don't go according to form. Do you expect a low-scoring game yourself, and why do games like this not?
No, I think both teams are capable of scoring points. And I think both defenses will get challenged in the game. And it's going to be the teams that can play with the best consistency in terms of responsibility football, to me, on defense with discipline, that are going to have the best opportunities to be successful, especially in our case because of the option, because of the passes, the play passes, and the multiples of things that they would do from formations. And I'm sure they'll do something that we're not prepared for that we'll have to adjust to in the game. So I don't really anticipate any kind of game, whether it's low scoring, high scoring, whatever. I just think that they're a difficult offensive team to stop, and I think it's going to be important that we control the ball on offense so that they don't have it all the time. And to do that, we're going to have to move the ball effectively on them and score points.
Okay, another question over here. Go ahead.
Coach Saban, a moment ago you mentioned third down. Last year they were very effective on third down, particularly in the red area,
right,
getting touchdowns. Can you address that and the need to get off the field when you have an opportunity on third down?
Well, they made the plays and we didn't. I mean, we had close coverage on them. They made good throws and good catches. There were 3 occasions in the red zone where we had them 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, something like that, and they converted all 3 of those, for touchdowns. So we obviously need to do a better job, in that situation. But we also had other circumstances in the game where we had them 3rd down, and whether they scrambled for a first down or whatever, we didn't get off the field like we need to in the red zone or on 3rd down. And I think that's always a critical part of the game because it continues drives, and now you've created a new set of downs for all their skilled players to have an opportunity to win or make a big play. And I also think that big plays, contribute to, and in the game last year, big plays on their part contributed to most of their scores. So controlling those are going to be critical in the game as well.
Okay, got one more waiting on this side, and then we'll get you back there. Go ahead.
Can you talk about Mark Ingram, just the season that he's had and the things that he's done that have put him in the short conversation for the Heisman Trophy?
Well, I think that Mark has had a phenomenal year. Mark is a great competitor, outstanding person, has been a team guy all year long in terms of knowing that all of his success has been because of his teammates and what the other players on his team have done offensively to help him be successful. But he's had a phenomenal year because of the hard work, and the guy's a great competitor. And I think that his resiliency as a competitor has contributed to his great physical ability as a running back, quickness, change of directions, got speed, good instincts, can run behind his pads, got good hands, he's a good receiver. And he's had one of those years that probably make him a legitimate, he's one of the best players in the country.
Okay, on the right side, go ahead.
Nick, you and Urban are really good at coaching in these big games. I'm sure that's an acquired skill, but can you talk about, I guess, when you got past the anxiety of coaching in big pressure games like this, or do you still get some butterflies before a big game like this?
I get butterflies before every game. I get butterflies before every game that we play. You know, I'm shaking my leg right now. All right, so, and I would be shaking it on any Friday of any given game that we play, because to a coach, you feel like that game that you're playing that day is the biggest game that you have that particular year. It's the most important game because it's the game that you're playing now. And your struggle as a coach is to always keep the people in your organization, including the players, the coaches, and everybody else that works, not to think like regular people think, that it's time to take it easy this week because we play so-and-so. You know, so you're constantly trying to keep everybody playing to a standard of excellence to be the best that they can be, so you can continue to improve as a team, so that you will be in a better position when you do get in a game like this, if you can create that opportunity to play your best football, and that you've done it on a consistent basis and you have confidence in your ability to do that. So, and I know that externally, this game means a lot to a lot of people, and we never lose sight of that. But from our standpoint, how we get our team ready really can't change that much, because if there was a better way to do it, why wouldn't we do it the 5th week? Or why didn't we do it against Ole Miss or LSU or whoever else we played? And I think it would be an indictment on us if you discovered that we didn't use the best techniques to win every one of those games.
Okay, question down front. Go ahead.
Coach, Urban was asked about an assistant that might possibly have another opportunity. At this time of year when there's so much at stake, what's the best way to deal with that on your own staff when you have coaches that may be getting interest from other places?
Well, first of all, you know, we want our coaches to advance. And I think that if we have someone on our staff, it should be their motivation to do a good job to be able to create a better opportunity for themselves. In other words, if you're a coordinator, you can become a head coach. You know, if you're not a coordinator, you could go someplace and be a coordinator and actually gain more responsibility. I don't necessarily think that just to move sometimes, and when it's not really an advancement in terms of responsibility, is something that you like to see on your staff, because you hope that the people that are there are working to move up the ladder so that they can create an opportunity for themselves that will give them an advancement based on their performance and what they achieve and what they do by doing a good job in the job that they're in. Because the issues and the problems are the same everywhere. So we always want our coaches to be able to do that. We want to help them do it. But at the same time, we want them to stay focused on what's best for our team and our players right now in this situation, because those are all things that can be managed after the game. There's a time and place for all those things. And I don't think today's the right day.
Question on the right side. Go ahead.
Coach, I think the other day at your press conference you mentioned that the Gators had 162 different formations alone. And I was just wondering how that compares to other teams in terms of how much you have to prepare that way and how that compares to your team.
Well, I would think that those are quite a few more multiples than what you would typically see, and what we would typically see, and probably quite a few more multiples than our offensive team would be presented, or we would present ourselves if we were, when we do our own self-scout. So, and I think the reason I said that was trying to make a point of the problems that their offense creates in terms of how they use their personnel and the multiples that they use that personnel in. Now, they don't even run 162 different plays, but it's the way they present the plays to confuse the defensive players that is the point I was trying to make.
Another question on the right side.
Coach, you said after last week the team might have come out a little flat. Is there a potential for them to come out too high this time, and is that a bad thing?
You know, I don't No, you really want your players to, and sometimes you can't explain why they're flat, and sometimes you can't explain why they're too high. We would like to keep our team in an emotional balance that allows them to make good choices and decisions about what they do and what they don't do, so they can execute their job and channel their emotion into positive performance. Because I think you can get too emotional and make poor choices and decisions and lose your discipline because of the emotion that you have. And I'm hopeful that our team doesn't get there.
We've got time for one more question. Anybody? All right, let's take it right down the front, right here.
Nick, having coached a lot of good teams and in a lot of big games, do you ever recall a game where there was much talent on both defenses as it is in this game?
Well, I think it's probably a unique circumstance that the two defensive teams that are playing in this game are statistically, at least, on par to be in the top categories in, a lot of different situations. That's probably a little bit unique in and of itself. I remember playing in this game once when, Tennessee had, John Henderson and that group, and they probably had as talented a team as I'd seen to that point, defensively as well as offensively, with the receivers that they had, Stallworth, Washington. They really had a lot of talented guys. And, I'm not comparing teams, but when you ask me the question, we had some pretty good players on defense in that game too. But I think that this Florida defensive team, with the experience that they have now, and as long as they've played together, the talent that they have, and having, I think, all 22 guys back from last year's team, not just the starters but the backups too, is a pretty unique circumstance in and of itself. And I think they've played extremely well because of the talent level and experience that they have.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.